What is my hair doing? This is what happens when you get ready and like do your hair and makeup and then you go do a bunch of other errands before you film a video. You get whatever this is. So sorry, just ignore that. Moving on. Hello pumpkins, and welcome to the house beyond the hedge. Today we are going to do a stories and steeps video, which I have not done for a long time, but it's one of my favorite kinds of videos because it combines two of my favorite things, tea and books. I feel like I should have the books and the tea when I say that. Okay, wait, hold on. Tea? Oh God, that didn't go well. Tea and books. And I, of course, have a brewed cup of tea right here, so I'm ready to go with that. If you would like to go get your own cup of tea to drink while you watch this, please feel free to pause the video and come back when you're ready. I highly encourage a tea while we're doing stories and steeps because it's just so cozy and tea focused. So go get your tea, come on back. So if this is your first time watching a stories and steeps video, basically what it is I talk about books that I read and then I choose teas from my very vast collection. And there's a lot, you guys. I have a lot of teas. And I pair them with the book. So I choose one tea for each book and I talk about the book, what I thought, and why I chose the tea to go with it. So for the months of September and October, I basically read almost all witch books about witches. And I also have a lot of pumpkin flavored teas because in September, October, November, I also really like to drink pumpkin flavored things because I love pumpkin. And if you've watched my other videos, you know that I don't drink coffee, so I don't get like pumpkin spice lattes or anything, but I still love pumpkin flavored things. So I love a good pumpkin flavored tea. So I have a lot of those. I have a lot of witch books. For this video, we're going to do all witch books and pair it with all pumpkin flavored teas. I'm going to do 4 books. I actually read, I don't know how many, probably at least 2 or 3 more witch books than that. One of them, The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, I talked about in my last video, so I'm not going to do that one. And then there was another one that I read that I didn't really care for as much, so I'm not going to talk about that either because, I don't know. I don't really want to talk about books that I didn't like that much because I don't want to say bad things about books. I want to be happy and say positive things. So we're going to talk about 4 books that I read and that I really enjoyed. And then I'm going to tell you what tea goes with each one. So let's start out. I think this is the order that I read them, if I'm remembering correctly. So I think this is the first one I read, and it is called The Nature of Witches by Rachel Griffin. And I actually bought this one last year because I want to say Darling Desi did a book club like group read of this book because she does that with people who watch her channel. And so I bought it last year and I don't know, I just didn't think I was in the mood to read it. And partly that is because I think I thought this book was going to be something different than what it actually was. So I want to talk about that a little bit because I think I kind of like judged it, I don't know, not by the cover, but you know, like I just thought I knew what this book was going to be and it just wasn't something that I really felt like reading right then. But actually reading it, it was a lot different than that. So I think I sort of thought it was gonna be like a young adult romance, which it is. I don't want to tell you that it is not a young adult romance because it is, but I think it has a lot more gravitas than I thought it was gonna have. Like I thought it was gonna be just kind of like, oh, we're witches and we're having a romance, or I don't know, which is nothing wrong with that. Sometimes that's totally what I want, but I just wasn't feeling that last year when I bought this book. But it's not like that at all. Like it's a pretty serious book. I mean, it has romance, it has some lighthearted stuff, but overall it's a pretty serious drama. And there's a lot of commentary on things like climate change and how we are destroying our planet. So it's still a fun, fairly easy read, but it's not just like totally flighty, I guess, is how I would put that. So if you maybe pick this up thinking the same thing that I thought, I would say I still recommend picking it up for sure. If you're looking for something that has a little more meat to it, this is definitely that. It's been now a couple months since I read this, so I'm gonna try and sum it up accurately, but I might be forgetting things. So it's about witches that live in a world that's basically our world, except that some people are magic and some people aren't. So each person born with magic, their magic comes from a different season, a different like time of the year. So there's winter witches and fall witches and spring witches, and whatever season you fall in, that's the power that you can harness the most. So if you're a winter witch, you can really control some of the weather. I can't remember the specific things. If you're a spring witch, you can control, like, make plants grow and stuff like that. Non-magic humans have been counting on witches to control the weather and make sure things don't get too crazy. And they haven't done anything to help stop climate change, essentially, to help keep the world's climate under control. They've just been going out, pillaging the land, ruining the world, all the things we're kind of doing with the world now, because they've just counted on the witches to counteract that and to make sure that everything doesn't go wrong. But it starts to get so bad that the witches can't control it and things get really out of hand. And the main character, she can harness all the seasons' power. And this is like a once in 100 years kind of situation. Very few witches are ever born with this ability. And so it kind of becomes up to her to learn how to control her power, because she's one of the few people that can really help change the sort of crazy weather events and things that are happening in the world. And then also the witches get their power from the sun. And so during solar eclipses, when the sun is completely cut off by the moon, they have to hide, or they like are stripped of their power. So she's trying to decide if she wants to be this person and embrace her power, or if she wants to strip herself of her power because it's hurt a lot of people, a lot of her loved ones. And so she has to make this big decision. And then also there's a romance, but it's kind of, you know, it's part of the story. It's an important part of the story, but it's not like the main thing. The main thing is sort of her battle with her identity and deciding if she wants to embrace her power or not. So all that being said, I really enjoyed it. I really want you to see what the cover is like under the dust jacket, because it's so, so pretty. And I would highly recommend this if you're into witch books, or if you are into young adults, if you know a young adult that's looking for a good read. I really liked this a lot. I would probably give this like a 4.5 stars. I feel like you probably won't see many books on this channel that are under 4 stars, because like I said, I just don't really like to talk about books that I didn't enjoy. So yeah, I would give this like a 4.5. And so now we're gonna talk about the tea that goes with it. So for this one, I chose a pumpkin tea that really felt like it had a lot of natural elements in it. I don't know how else to say that, just one that felt really natural, because I think like it's about nature witches, and which tea would nature witches drink is how I went about that. For this book, I chose a pumpkin chai, and this is from Friday Afternoon. This is actually my first tea that I bought from there, but I enjoy it quite a bit, so likely to buy more. So this is a chai, but it also has pumpkin. So the ingredients are black tea, cinnamon, ginger, cardamom, pumpkin pieces, natural vanilla, and pumpkin flavorings. I don't know if you can see, but it has just whole cardamom pods. Like everything in there is just really big. All the chunks, it's got big chunks. That's how you know it's a good tea, if it has big chunks. And just you can see the dried pumpkin pieces. And yeah, I just thought that this was a really nice tea. It's got a really robust chai flavor, but then it also has that little hint of vanilla. It has the pumpkin in there. So if you like chai, or if you like pumpkin tea, and especially if you like both, I think you'll like this a lot. And I would recommend checking out Friday Afternoon. Okay, so up next, I read The X Hex by Erin Sterling. And my guess is you probably have heard of this book. I've seen it all over the webs and, you know, book talk, as the kids say. I don't know, YouTube and everything. Basically, all the people that I follow that read books have talked about this or brought it up, or it's just been around. Not in a bad way. This book really gets around. No. And this is definitely a more sort of lighthearted, it's an adult romance. So it is a romance, and there is some spicy stuff in here. So if that is your thing, then you're gonna like this, I think. If it's not your thing, I'm trying to remember how much spicy stuff. Once again, I read this a little while ago. I think a decent amount. I would say if you're not into spicy stuff, maybe don't pick this up. But it wasn't like ridiculously spicy. One of the books that I'm not going to talk about because I didn't really enjoy it that much was like really spicy, but that wasn't like the bad part. I don't know. Just wasn't written very well. I don't mind spicy if it's written well. This was just not written very well in my opinion. So not this one, the other one that I'm not going to talk about. This one I like. It's an easy, fun read. It's perfect for October because the town in it is kind of that Salem, you know, Halloween, all out kind of town. and it has Halloween stuff. Like, it takes place around Halloween. So just like a squirrel. It takes place at Halloween, basically. So you get descriptions of Halloween decor. The shops are filled with Halloween stuff. There's a sort of fall festival in it. So yes, very, very good October Halloween vibes in this. And then on top of that, the main girl is a witch. So I would recommend it. I would say this is like a 4 stars. It's not like my favorite book or anything, but I would say it's a pretty good 4 stars. I think there's a second one out now, so I want to read that. And I've heard that one's actually better than this one, so that would probably be one I would pick up too. But yeah, I would recommend this if you're into fun adult romance. And then the tea that I picked to go with that one is from Wolf Door Teas. If you've watched my channel before, you've maybe seen me talk about this brand. It comes in this super, super cute packaging, and they have all these different teas, and they have a lot of pop culture theme teas, which is really fun. So they have Harry Potter teas, they have video game based teas, they have Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, like all the good things. They have teas that go with them. This one is not from a specific media property, but it is one of their fall Halloween teas, and it's called Salem and Salem. And one of the things I like about their teas is they have these really cute little like stories on the back. So I'm going to read you that because it's fun. All gather in Salem, for the night of the devil is soon upon us. The harvest is over and the season of dark has begun. Gather naked under the forested moonlight to dance with Lucifer. Once complete, consume this potion and indulge in black magic. This book isn't about satanic witches, but there is nakedness in it. So I thought, fitting for that. And this is an Earl Grey tea with pumpkin, cinnamon, and vanilla. So if you're an Earl Grey fan and you want like a fall Halloween themed Earl Grey, I highly recommend this tea. It's so good. You can taste the pumpkin and vanilla and all of that, but with that traditional Earl Grey flavor. And yeah, it's really, really good. And I think that it goes well with this book. So there you go. You can check that out. So the next book is called Small Town Big Magic by Hazel Beck. This book is also about witch. I guess I don't need to say that every time since this whole video is witch book themed. So the witch in this book, the main character, doesn't realize she's a witch. She doesn't know she is. She lives in this little town that also is one of those towns that just has a lot of history, a lot of draw for the seasons. Like, are we sensing a theme here? And she has a really close-knit group of friends that they've all been friends since they were younger, basically. She's actually part of like the city council. So she's like really involved in making events in the town happen and everything. And then some weird stuff happens. Like some magic stuff that she's like, what the hell is happening? And she discovers that she is a witch, or was a witch, and essentially the way that it works is if you don't test with a certain amount of power by a certain age, you are stripped of any power. You're like blocked, essentially. They erase your memory so you don't know you're a witch, and you aren't part of the witch community. And she discovers that that's what happened to her, but actually she is really powerful, and there's a whole sort of prophecy. It's like a whole thing. I really enjoyed this one. I would probably give this 4.75. Can we get that? I feel like I should be saving 5 stars for like my favorite books, which like the next book that I'm gonna talk about is a 5 star. So I feel like I shouldn't be giving every book a 5 star, but also I don't really want to give books below like a 4 star because that seems mean. So like I would say if this is like a 4.75 or 4.5, this is like 4.75. They're just in the 4-star range. You get it, right? This is why I don't rate things. I really enjoyed it. I don't know what it is about this cover too. I'm just really into it. It's like all glossy and the letters are erased, like embossed. I don't know. I just like it a lot. I will say one of the things that I really liked about this book is that she's like a very strong-willed feminist. Like one of the great things about this book is it is very contemporary in terms of feminist thinking, and a lot of her struggle is like, I don't need no man to define me. No, it's not like that. I don't know how to describe it in like a way that's going to do it justice, but it's nice to see a character in a book that's like going through some of like thinking some of the same things that like modern day women are thinking in situations. Do you know what I mean? I can't think of a really good example right now, but if you read the book, you'll understand what I mean. So just read it. I highly recommend this book. I really liked it. Like I said, it's close, very close to a 5 star for me. The tea that's going to go with it is Also a wolf door tea, and this one is called pumpkin tea. That's just called pumpkin tea. It says made for autumn nights underneath. This one's a chai black tea with cinnamon, allspice, clove, nutmeg, pumpkin spice, and fresh dehydrated pumpkin. The thing I really like about this tea is you have actual pumpkin bits in it, but you also have all the pumpkin spices. A lot of times you'll see things labeled as pumpkin spice when really it just has the spice part, which if you watch my pumpkin spice taste test video, you could see what I mean. But I really like this. This has real pumpkin in it, and it has all of the spices, and it's a chai. So I really enjoy this one as well. Definitely recommend. The description on this one says, brewed and sold since 1537, this medieval autumn loose leaf tea is a classic among witches, wizards, and woodland travelers. Pumpkin tea is blended in-house using local pumpkin bits with a chai tea base, inspired by the wizardly pumpkin juice, Halloween jack-o'-lanterns, and autumn pumpkin fields. This blend is perfect to enjoy out in the brisk fall breeze or by a fire. So very evocative and descriptive there, and I think you can get an idea of what that probably tastes like. Okay, so now for the fourth book, the last book in this Stories and Steeps. My favorite of all of them, we have Cackle by Rachel Harrison. This is also just a really good cover. I just really like this cover a lot. This one, 100% a 5-star for me. I loved this book so much. This is probably maybe annual October reread for me. So this one is about a woman who breaks up with her long-term boyfriend, or he breaks up with her. They sort of break up, and then she takes a job in this tiny little out-of-the-way town. Once again, kind of that small New England town feel. And she meets this other woman that lives there. And this woman is beautiful and charismatic and poised for days. And the main character, Annie, she sort of becomes friends with this woman, Sophie. So she becomes friends with Sophie, and Sophie's, like I said, glamorous and mysterious and all of those things. But then Annie notices like some weird stuff about Sophie, about her house. She lives in like this giant mansion in the woods, and she slowly, I don't think this is really a spoiler to say because it's kind of like the point of the book. She slowly comes to understand that Sophie is a witch, essentially. I literally don't think they ever use the word witch in the book, and I could be misremembering that, but I think it's intentional that the author never actually calls Sophie a witch, but that is what you sort of come to understand about her. And then it gets kind of dark. Like, the thing I really loved about this book compared to all the other ones I read is there's just a touch of like dark witch stuff in this. When you live for a long time and people are trying to like witch hunt you, some stuff happens. There's just a dark, kind of gritty edge to this. It's very subtle, but it just gives it that extra depth for a witch book that I really love. I mean, I totally love like just a fun romp too, but this book just had that extra something. And I don't even really know how to describe it. Like, I just want you to read this book and then tell me what you thought, because I loved it so much. So there's this thing with spiders, which is part of the reason why I got one of my spiderweb mugs here. But there's this whole thing with spiders, and I'm a big fan of spiders. I love them, so I really enjoyed that. And one of the spiders, his name is Ralph, and he's so cute. He's basically like a pet, and it's adorable. And when I was reading it one night on the couch, like where I am now, if you see this credenza behind me, the cats, both my cats were like focused underneath the credenza, and I was like, what's going on over there, you guys? And I put down this book and I went to check it out, and there was just the most giant ass spider under there. It was huge. And I tend to put spiders outside when I find them in my house because the cats will attack them and eat them, and I don't want the spiders to get eaten. If they're up in a place where they'll be safe from the cats, then a lot of times I leave them. I actually have one that's been living between the light and the wall over my sink for over a year. The same spider has been there for over a year. I named her Matilda. Very cute. So yeah, I'm a spider fan. So I saw this spider and I was like, oh buddy, you cannot stay under here. The cats are gonna wreck you. So I put him outside, but it was just really funny because it was so relevant to the book, like what I was reading in the book, and that my cats like hunted down this giant spider. Anyway, that's a tangent. But so Ralph is adorable. If you're not a spider person, like if spiders freak you out, if you're scared of them, if you have an issue with spiders, I honestly might recommend not reading this. There's a lot of stuff about spiders in it and descriptions of spiders doing things. So yeah, just bear that in mind if you have a spider phobia. But If you're like me and you like spiders, then I cannot recommend this book enough. Not just because of the spiders, but the whole book is so, so good. And so the tea that is going to go with that. And I believe I used this tea in a Stories and Steeps video last year, but I'm using it again because A, it's my favorite pumpkin tea of all time, and B, the shop that it is from is actually open again. So when I did the video last year, she had closed up her shop and wasn't selling things anymore, but now she's reopened it. So you can actually buy things from this brand again. And so I really wanted to feature it again because it's one of my favorites and she's one of my favorite tea makers. So the tea is called Black Pumpkin. She's changed her shop name a couple times, but the shop name now is Altar and Leaf. And I will post a link down below to all the tea shops, so in case you want to go check it out. But this is her Black Pumpkin tea. And it says, a dark conjuring of black tea and autumnal spices. I also love her little description. So it says, crafted by moonlight with organic botanicals of black and red tea, proprietary spices, cocoa nibs, apple bits, pumpkin seeds, vanilla essence, and all the magic you can shake your wand at. And then on the other side, it says how to brew it. So it has brewing instructions. A splash of ghostly cream is delightful, best enjoyed when the leaves are falling all around. She always adds a little bit of extra magic in her teas, which I love so much. And I cannot recommend this tea more. She does very seasonal releases, so I don't think you can buy this exact tea on her website right now, but all her teas are amazing, so I would recommend buying anything that she makes, honestly. I picked this one to go with Cackle because this also kind of has an extra earthy, magical edge to it. I don't really know how to describe it. I think maybe it's the combination of black tea and rooibos tea kind of gives it that extra earthiness, the rooibos, and then just the spices and everything. So it's just got an extra dark earthy vibe that kind of makes it a little different than the other teas here, even though they all have a lot of similar ingredients, like, let's be honest, but this one just has a little something extra that makes it go perfectly with this book. So recommend picking it up if you can. I would keep an eye out. Maybe she will re-release it next year, or if you want to come over to my house, we can drink it together. I have a lot. I buy a lot of tea. Anyway, that was the last book and tea combo. I hope you enjoyed watching this. Stories and Steeps are always some of my favorite videos to make just because, you know, I get to put all the things I love into one video, which who wouldn't want that? I would really like to know, have you read any of these books? Did you enjoy them? I would say, have you had any of these teas, but it seems unlikely, but maybe you have. I don't know. If you have, let me know what you thought. And I just want to say, like, as always, none of this is sponsored. None of these tea companies were like, hey, we'll pay you to promote our tea on your channel. First of all, like 20 people watch my videos, so I don't think it would really do them any good. But also, they didn't do that. So this is all my own opinions just because I love teas and I love books and I love these particular teas and books together. So I will post the link to all the shops down below so you can check them out. And please let me know if you do end up trying any of them or if you do end up reading these books, because I would love to know what you think about both the tea and the book. And if you do a combo, like if you go the extra step of reading the book while you're drinking the tea, you're my hero. Like, thank you for watching this. Thank you for doing that. Please like and subscribe if you want to check out my upcoming videos. If you'd like to follow me on Instagram, it's at House Beyond the Hedge, and also same on TikTok, although I don't post over there as much. So yeah, that is all for now. Cheers, and remember to keep the kettle warm because I will see you next time.